Good morning to North, South and Central America.
Good afternoon to Europe and Africa.
Good evening to Asia and Oceania.
Welcome to this edition of the conference call that makes us one family all over the world. My name is Roberto Signor. I'm a Brazilian Focolarino and I work at the Center for Interreligious Dialogue of the Focolare movement in Rocca di Papa, Italy. I spent many years in Thailand, Singapore and the Philippines.
Ciao a tutti. Sono Aruj.
Hi everybody, I'm Aruj. I'm from Pakistan and I've been in Italy for about 6 years. I graduated in communication and during my studies at the Sofia University Institute, I became passionate about interreligious and intercultural dialogue.
Sono sposata.
I am married to an Italian guy, so we live intercultural dialogue every day at home and with a lot of love and joy. I have a 3-month-old daughter.
I'm Lawrence Chong from the Focolare movement in Singapore. I'm married and I work in a global innovation consulting firm. When I was a youth, the Focolare sent me to participate in global interfaith activities. The experience opened my eyes to the immensity of the movement's involvement with the world's religions. The coronavirus pandemic is not the only pandemic that our world is suffering. There are other systemic forms of pandemics afflicting our societies in the way of a failing economic system, the breakdown of dialogue in politics, deep-rooted racism that continues to rear its ugly head, and the denial of human rights. Now, more than ever, we need a new way of dialogue to break down the high walls of division and discrimination. Here is where the rich traditions of religions can inspire us to reach out, help us recognize our common calling as a generation of hope instead of hate.
Come possiamo essere segno di speranza per il
How can we be a sign of hope for the world? The title of this link-up is A Light for the World. And today we want to explore this light from the perspective of friendship and fraternal relations with our brothers and sisters of the different religions that are part of the Focolare family.
And let's begin with a video of Chiara Lubich that briefly shows the historical stages of these fraternal relationships and the foundation of her experience of dialogue and that of the Focolare movement.
Let me tell you something. History is being made here in Harlem, New York. This idea is something that our souls, our human souls, are hungering for that. And for that reason, I have embraced them as my friends.
Despite everything, and almost paradoxically, the world is tending towards unity, and therefore towards peace. It's a sign of the times.
Fortunately, Chiara has shown us the way. Today I understand her religion is only love. And this is why we can meet and dialogue. Only the person who has experienced God can do so.
Encuentro exactamente lo que me dijo frente a la menorá. Esto es un pacto de buena voluntad, un pacto de fe, una forma de mirar el futuro.
Chiara Lubich's entire life shows her as a woman of dialogue and encounter. The first time she perceived the importance of openness to other faiths was in the 1960s, on meeting the Bangwa people in Fontem, Cameroon.
I had an intuition. It was as if God was embracing all of us there together. It was then that the idea first came to me that we should have something to do with interreligious dialogue. I mean with people of other faiths.
In 1977 in London, where she was awarded the Templeton Prize for Progress in Religion, Chiara felt she received confirmation of what she had perceived in Fontem.
I remember how intently everyone was listening as I spoke of my experience, which is also universal, and how at the end, the first people who came to congratulate me were those of other religions. So I began to realize perhaps our movement is also meant to have fellowship with them.
There, a journey in interreligious dialogue began that brought Chiara to speak first to thousands of Buddhists in Japan and later in Thailand, to Muslims in a mosque in Harlem, New York, to Jews in Argentina and Hindus in the heart of India.
What links us to them? We are bound together by what's known as the Golden Rule. It's in the Gospel, but is found in the sacred texts of almost all other religions. It says, "Don't do to others what you would not have them do to you, so treat them well, love them. So I, a Christian, love you, you, a Muslim, love me, you love someone who is Jewish, the Jewish person loves you." This is how a sense of family grows, universal fellowship, which is what our movement does.
She transcended boundaries, but she was able to go beyond the nationalities, cross people at a real human level, to uplift everyone spiritually. I think that was her gift.
È un dialogo che ha una sua precisa tecnica.
Our dialogue has its own precise style. It is based on making ourselves one, as we say. This doesn't only mean being open, having esteem and respect for the other person. It requires a complete emptying of self in order to be able to understand others. It has been written that to know another person's religion implies putting yourself in their shoes, seeing the world as they see it, grasping what it means for them to be Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist.
One of the most significant examples of interreligious dialogue is the experience that has evolved within the movement in Algeria since the 1970s. Christians and Muslims have travelled together on a path based on the spirituality of unity.
Dialogue is very fruitful, because in dialogue we put ourselves on the same level as our partner, and we want to get to know them. They speak, and as we listen, we enculturate ourselves and understand them. We also see how to express our faith in their terms. Of course, when our dialogue partner feels all this love, they realise their own dignity and also want to listen. So they ask us to say something, and we present our faith freely, with the respectful announcement the Pope speaks of, that is, a proclamation without the aim of winning over or proselytizing, but one that respects the other person. But all this gives rise to the sense of family.
A più di 50 anni dall'inizio dell'esperienza del movimento dei Focolari,
the Focolare movement that I represent has been in existence for over 50 years. Yet we continuously marvel at how the spiritual path God has marked out for us crosses all the other spiritual paths. While maintaining its own identity, this path allows us to meet and understand the great religious traditions of humanity.
religiose dell'umanità.
I think our boundary is really to do with being without boundaries. This means being able to give a soul to globalization. That is why we need a universal sense of family everywhere. I feel this is my task for as long as I live, and it's the task of the movement. This is God's plan for humanity, to be one family with one Father, and to achieve it together with everyone else who is working towards this goal.
All'inizio di giugno si sarebbe dovuto tenere qui.
At the beginning of this month, an interreligious meeting was to be held here, in Italy, on the occasion of Chiara's centenary. The work was already underway, and many of you had already booked. However, because of COVID-19, we had to find new and creative ways to meet and communicate. That is why we asked 8 religious leaders to send us a few words, a greeting, as a testimony to the path that we have travelled together. All of them remember Chiara, either because they met her personally or are in contact with the spirituality of unity.
Li ascolteremo in diversi momenti.
We will hear from them at different times, and we will start with Farouk Mesli, a Muslim, and Rabbi David Rosen.
Mon devoir est de témoigner devant Dieu et devant les hommes que Chiara a empli notre vie et notre cœur par tout ce qu'elle a partagé avec nous. L'unité, qui est son idéal et ce pourquoi le mouvement est né, est un don des plus précieux que l'on peut faire à l'humanité. Elle nous a appris à construire l'unité et à la vivre. Et pour la construire, il faut s'appuyer sur la foi et savoir dépasser les différences et les clivages de religion, de culture et autres. Se faire un, aimer l'autre comme soi-même, aimer le pays de l'autre comme son propre pays, protéger l'environnement, etc., sont autant de valeurs que Chiara nous a communiquées et appris à vivre. En cette période, j'ai ressenti plus que jamais la joie de vivre la spiritualité de Chiara, qui nous apprend à semer l'amour afin de créer les conditions dans lesquelles se fondent les relations humaines et se développe la fraternité universelle.
I'm very grateful for the honor in being able to contribute to this event in memory and in tribute to Chiara Lubich on the centenary of her birth. We are celebrating this in the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic. And in some way, this seems to me to be particularly significant because one of the most dramatic aspects of this pandemic is how much it has illustrated that all humanity is interconnected and perhaps even beyond. And as important as this truism is, there is an even more important truism in the spiritual interconnectedness of us all. And this was something that Chiara understood intuitive and theologically. And all of us who are blessed to be connected with that remarkable opus of her life are thereby blessed accordingly.
Ringraziamo il Guangming.
We thank the Guangming Institute of Performing Arts in Cebu for their performance of the song Be the Light, inspired by the prayer of the Venerable Master Hsing Yun and composed by Mr. Jude Jutamondok
di cui abbiamo
of which we have heard a part.
Adesso andiamo a Coimbatore.
Now we go to Coimbatore, India, to meet Dr. Vinu Aram, director of the Shanti Ashram International Center.
Grazie ai suoi genitori ha conosciuto Chiara Lubich.
Thanks to her parents, she met Chiara Lubich, and the collaboration between the Focolare movement and the Shanti Ashram has created a family among all that continued for more than 20 years now. Let's watch.
There are many things that Shanti Ashram represents to me. It represents a tribute to the life and work of Mahatma Gandhi. I think Gandhiji belongs to the people. He lived and worked for the progress of not only the people of India, but people of the world. He says, even if one person falls, humanity falls. And even if one person rises, we all give us a chance to believe that together we can rise. Through my parents, I saw and understood the value of working this way. I remember my mother once saying, every problem is there only to be solved. This aspect, this attribute of looking at life as a hopeful journey is something that comes when you're in the middle of problems. But also when prosperity comes, the desire that it may be shared by all. I look at this as also a continuation of the commitment of my parents and their generation, that the commitment to work for a society where everybody can enjoy respect, where most can live well, that anybody who has a voice should be heard, and that development means development of all. And I'm extremely happy that we are able to serve about 250,000 people today, of whom 70,000 are children. I'm very happy that the best of the Indian spirit and the Indian experience is also being shared with the world through the ashram. My mind goes back to the first time I saw the meeting between Chiara and my parents. It was at the Vatican. It was a simple encounter. Natalia, who was head of the interreligious dialogue section of the Focolare movement, ran up to call my mother and ran down to call my father, and Chiara was there. So what I saw in that moment, that image, was like-minded people came together. And because they were visionaries, because their heart had space for humanity, not just for a country or a nation or a group of people, they also encouraged people who worked with them, who were inspired by the way they lived and worked, for their hearts to be expanded. And that is why for me, since 2000 now, there is a certain way that we have worked together. We have met, we have heard one another, we have organized programs together, we have served the most vulnerable in our communities together through these concrete projects. Children who live in poverty, families who live in poverty. We have encouraged our young people to talk, to transcend boundaries, to discover unity beyond words, in prayer, in music, in working together. Our work together with the Focolare movement is a testimony that when there is openness and a common and a shared vision of working for peace and unity in this case, we can transcend boundaries. But I also feel one area where we have been a great testimony is interfaith dialogue. We have not kept it only at a theoretical level of theologians speaking to one another. We do that too. We have kept it also at the level of everyday life. We have taken people who are consecrated and lay people like me. We have worked together. So dialogue, therefore, in our case, is consistent and faithful because it includes the diversity of life. It includes the richness of every human being's presence here. And that is why I think we have survived. And thankfully, we have a positive message and a positive story to tell the world, that meet and meet often, work and work together, and build together the peaceful world that you dream of.
Vinu Aram indica un metodo per incontrarsi.
Vinu Aram points out a method on how to meet beyond all barriers. But how does this encounter and dialogue happen in everyday life? How does this relationship of trust between people of different religions begin?
L'abbiamo chiesto a Umar e Lina.
We asked Omar and Lina from Amman in Jordan. They are Muslims who have been married for 17 years and have 3 children. Lina is a teacher and Omar is a computer scientist. We also meet Raul and Mitali from Mumbai, India. They too are married with 2 daughters. With them, we will see how dance can also be a powerful instrument for mutual understanding between different religious traditions.
You live in Amman and you are Muslim. So what does being Muslim mean to you? How do you live your faith in your daily life?
I grew up in a committed family with my parents, and we received the tradition of Islam in the proper way, respect the values of humanity.
I come from a mixed family. I'm half Jordanian and half Slovak. So to talk about religions, it was actually kind of a base for me not to look for any differences.
My first meeting in the Focolare gave me a good feeling that when I met people there, no one asked me about my religion or my family, what I do. They didn't ask me to change. You are accepted as you are. I work in Caritas, and it's a Catholic organization. Christians are minority in Jordan, but I was minority in Caritas. One of my colleagues, she came to me and asked me about how we are fasting, about Ramadan. And she told me, you know, Omar, the way we fast is better than you do. So I told her, how come? I have all the time these dialogues about comparing how Christianity and Islam, and we always say that it's not about comparing. We should focus on the core value of each religion, which is came from the same God.
Since the quarantine, which is almost 8 or 9 weeks ago, we've been having weekly meetings with the Focolare movement in Jordan. One of the meetings included one statement for Chiara that was talking about how do we deal with others during hard times. And it was written during this very hard time of the COVID-19 crisis. So we're moving to bigger concepts that exceed time, that exceed the place, and they help you in your life.
How do you imagine a united world, and what does that mean to you? What world would you like to leave for the future generations and teach your children about it?
When we teach our kids or give them the values, how to or the way they should build their relation with their friends, we always say that you should look on the ethics at first, regardless what the religion.
We intend to invite their friends for Ramadan iftar, regardless their religion. They tend to share our experiences. We go for them.
Maybe in Jordan, most of us are the most majority of the population are Muslims, but you know the world is not like that. Muslims may be consisting 25% of the world population. So I think we are investing in them. So when they grow up, they will be ready to accept others and maybe merge with other cultures, others nationalities.
What will make peace much stronger in this world? Not trying to make everyone the same, not trying to make people convert, make them have the same beliefs. No, it's to learn how to deal with each other. So I guess in a peaceful world is where we do understand that everyone, as you said, are equal, and we always have the right to be whatever we are and not to harm others.
Thank you very much, Umar and Lina. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you both. Wish you all the best.
Stay safe.
Eid Mubarak.
And thank you for everyone.
I'm a Odissi dancer and Raul is a Bharatanatyam dancer.
So coming together, being married, it is not easy because two different styles and everything, but it was an opportunity for unity. Professionally, I also dance with other lead dancers and I do the lead role of Krishna, which is the Indian godhead. So as a Christian, doing Krishna is a unique opportunity to reach out also to people from other communities, other walks of life, the Hindus, as well as from other faiths.
So through our dance, we try to educate the people.
Mithali has a dance school where she teaches nearly over 30-35 students. They are from different walks of life, from different religious backgrounds.
I have students from age 6 to 80. I'm encouraging the teenagers, introspecting about their uniqueness, how they can get it out through dance. And the same also with the senior citizens. Dance shouldn't be an obstacle for anybody.
We also have had the blessings of two lovely children, two daughters, who also dance together with us. So now we have the opportunity of presenting as a family. That also has inspired other families. And especially during this COVID-19 situation, these months, many of our friends have had domestic challenges. So this has helped us really to advise them, to be there for them, to listen to them, to help them financially also.
Dear all my friends of Focolare, I am so happy to be with you today. Focolare and Rishoko Sekai have been fostering the friendship over 50 years from the times of Chiara and my grandfather. During my stay in Rome for 7 years since 1995, I was looking forward to participating in the collegamento in Rocca di Papa every month. And sometimes in Luminosa in New York, very early morning. I still remember vividly. I am so pleased to be invited to this worldwide family gathering from Japan today. I take this opportunity to deepen our long-standing friendship despite the division taking place in the various parts of the world due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, I would like to share with you my prayer I offered at the International Interfaith Prayer on the April 1st. Amid the crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic, we Buddhists stand in solidarity with friends of faith around the world. We reflect ourselves and offer a prayer to the people who are infected, who we hope will recover, who are dedicating themselves to protecting life, and whose minds have been seized by fear, irritation, or intolerance. The eternal Buddha, whom we sincerely revere, please unite us in nurturing our courage and being in Buddha's compassion. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo.
When we think of Lady Chiara, we think of the wonderful pact between her and my father, Imam W.D. Muhammad. I first became connected with Lady Chiara when she pierced my heart with just simple things like saying how many times love was mentioned in the Quran. It resonated with me. And I never forget that it was in Washington, D.C. when she spoke these words. Over the years, I've met many Focolare and become connected with the Focolare movement. And I pray that our connection that began with the two spiritual leaders coming together with a spiritual bond. I pray that we continue this pact, this relationship, and that we continue to be an example of light, of love, and of peace.
Chiara Lubich è nota a tutti per la sua infaticabile azione in favore della comunione, della fraternità e della pace tra persone di chiese diverse, fedeli di molte religioni e anche tra quanti non si riconoscono in un credo religioso. Sono certo che Chiara avrebbe condiviso e fatto proprio il tema della fratellanza che Papa Francesco ha messo al centro del dialogo interreligioso, sia nel documento sulla fratellanza umana del 4 febbraio 2019 che lo scorso 14 maggio, quando si è tenuta la giornata di preghiera, digiuno e opere di misericordia a cui in tanti hanno aderito.
And now let us go over to Lopiano, the little town of the Focolare movement in Italy, where Sofia University Institute is based. Lopiano, we can say, has a very unique DNA as an innovative global town that has been incubating new concepts of dialogue and unity.
The Sofia University Institute, founded by Chiara Lubich in 2007, brings onto an academic level the experience of the dialogue of life born from her charism. It's an ongoing workshop for dialogue that's interdisciplinary, intercultural and interreligious.
Sono Hiro, giapponese, buddista e studio filosofia.
I'm Hiro, from Japan. I'm a Buddhist and I study philosophy. I'm a PhD student doing research on Trinitarian ontology in comparison with Mahayana Buddhism to contribute to a culture of encounter, especially between different religions.
Sofia mi offre uno sguardo fondamentale.
Being here gives me a fundamentally important insight into interreligious dialogue.
Mi aiuta a capovolgere l'impostazione del mio pensiero.
It helps me change the way I think and helps me think of and do concrete acts of love for others.
Per me è una chiave.
For me, it is like a key and a light to understand and live in relationships with people of different faiths.
Experiencing dialogue between people of different religions, studying dialogue as a subject in itself and discovering through academic research new pathways for solidarity between people of different beliefs.
Sofia è un'università del dialogo.
Sofia is a university founded on dialogue, and therefore its work, its thinking and its action is guided at all levels by the logic of dialogue. Perhaps this is the reason why so many students of different religions come here to study not only interreligious dialogue, but also other disciplines: politics, economics, education and sociology. They want to have a dialogical experience. This experience is possible also thanks to our active collaboration with academic institutions of other religions, such as those linked to the Gandhian world or to various expressions of Buddhism or of Islam, and also the Jewish world. This collaboration is not only active and effective, but builds genuine friendship.
What became clear is this new type of study at Sofia comes from living a new lifestyle within the student community. And here with us now is Amin Shanoni from Algeria. Amin, you are a Muslim, you have a degree in sociology, you are now in the first year of your master's degree in political science. How has been your experience here?
The meeting between different cultures and religions is an experience like that of Sofia has strengthened me spiritually and intellectually. I say that Sofia is a school of life, wisdom and love. As a Muslim, I sometimes miss prayer in the mosque, hearing the call of the muezzin. I always pray in my room and feel the presence of God with me. The family atmosphere here in Sofia and the relationship between students and lecturers made me always feel at home. And I'm really happy to say that this is the path that Allah God has chosen for me.
Thank you for sharing your path with us, Amin. Hey, Arush, you shared with me before how incredible Sofia has been for you. Can you share with everyone here?
I come from Pakistan, from a Christian family, but things are not always easy in Pakistan between Christian and Muslims. So sharing my room with an Indian girl from a Muslim background I thought it would be impossible. But because it's at Sophia, we study this thought of creating a united world. I thought, let's try it, let's give it a go. I realized that most of the things that we never do are just out of fear. I can tell you, we were more than friends, we were more than sisters, because I think we know and we love each other beyond our differences. We love each other as and for we are.
Wow, that's really incredible. Thank you.
Ormai l'amicizia che ci lega con amici di vari.
By now, the friendship that binds us with many friends of different faiths has been going on for many years. We have joined some of them.
A Chiang Rai, nel nord della Thailandia.
In Chiang Rai, in northern Thailand, there's Samjit Suwan Manigul, who many of us know as Beer.
Da molti è conosciuto come Beer. Beer è buddista.
Beer is a Buddhist, and we have known each other since 1988.
Poi andiamo a Man.
Then we'll go to Man, on the Ivory Coast, to learn something about the story of Bintu Kotane, a Muslim.
Anche per lei.
For her too, the ideal of unity has been a cornerstone of her life for years.
The ideal of a united world is now widespread, even in the Golden Triangle of northern Thailand where I come from. A couple of years ago, I met young people of the Focolare in my village. I was so caught up in the atmosphere of love and unity among them that I didn't even notice that they were Catholics and I was Buddhist. I experienced that we are truly brothers and sisters and that we can be one in the spirit of love and self-giving.
At that time, I didn't really understand because I didn't know much Italian. But Chiara herself came to me immediately after I knelt in front of the Pope. That scene is certainly unforgettable and is historic for me too.
Essere buddista è vivere l'insegnamento di Buddha delle cose piccole.
To be a Buddhist means living Buddha's teachings in the little things, in everyday life. So it's simple, it's not something philosophical, it's practical. Because often people think that Buddhists only like to pray. I do pray though. Behind me there is always an altar, as you can see.
Come è possibile essere buddista e allo stesso momento seguire l'ideale dell'unità di Chiara?
How can you be a Buddhist and at the same time follow Chiara's ideal of unity? Have you ever experienced an inner conflict, doubts and confusion?
Ho trovato più le difficoltà o dei dubbi, no?
There were more difficulties, doubts and conflicts with my Buddhist friends who thought I had converted, that I was a traitor, that I was no longer a Buddhist. But I don't have any conflicts with Chiara's spirituality because my relationship with her was like with a mother.
Ci hai detto che lavori come guida turistica
You told us you work as a tour guide, and that takes you away from home for days, even weeks.
In questo settore, no, non è così facile vivere bene.
It is not very easy to live well in this kind of work. I mostly accompany young people or couples on their honeymoon. Most of them are young people who come to visit Thailand and want to do anything at all. Sometimes even in the drug or sex business, because there are groups of tourists who come to Thailand just for that reason. Of course, the supernatural relationship I have with my family, my wife and daughters, is always very important. It helps me to do things in the right way, in fact, always out of love. Also, my friends who live the same ideal, the Focolarini, they help me to be very careful in deciding where to accompany the tourists.
What has it meant for you to know Chiara Lubich and the spirituality of the Focolare movement in your daily life?
Imparato attraverso questo contatto di apertura, di aprirmi.
I have learned to be open, to open up fully, to get to know others without asking questions, without worrying, only to love others as myself.
Thank you, Bia, for these special moments of sharing. Please say hello to Kintan and your two daughters.
สวัสดีครับขอบคุณครับโรเบโตสวัสดีครับ
I am Bintu Konate, but they call me Mama Bintu. I'm a widow. I lost my husband in 1976. I have 4 children. And I'm a practicing Muslim.
Bintu lives in Man, a city of 200,000 inhabitants in the west of the Ivory Coast. In 1998, she met some Focolarine. They became friends, and gradually the bond between them grew stronger.
I was sad, but I soon made friends with the Focolarine and stopped thinking about being a widow. The spirituality of the movement helped me understand how to live in a local community, how to live with other religions. It really helped me.
In our movement, there are no barriers, whether you're a Muslim, a Christian, or you don't pray at all. Everyone's on the same level. This is how we think of her. She's Muslim, but she's our sister. One of the Focolarine that Bintu met was a nurse. Talking with her, the idea came about to set up a centre to help malnourished children.
On one occasion, she said, "Did you see those children's legs? They need treatment. It's a disease. They're not the right shape." So we did all we could, together with a few volunteers who helped us to take care of those malnourished children. It wasn't straightforward at first, but 2 children got well. When the parents saw this, they all came with their children. So we accepted those children, whoever they were. Some were malnourished, some were healthy, and there were some children whose parents only needed advice to avoid malnutrition.
Since opening its doors in 1998, the Supplementary Nutrition Centre has helped over 25,000 undernourished and malnourished children. It's taught parents to prepare balanced meals using local foods and has promoted breastfeeding. Bintu is the only person of Muslim faith who works as a volunteer in the centre, and at first her relationship with the Christian community caused some concern.
It wasn't easy to start with. People thought I was changing my religion, but then they noticed I was going to the mosque more than before, so they asked me, What is your secret? I told them, my parents are Muslims, I was born a Muslim. This unity I'm doing is something different, but I have realized that we are worshipping the same God.
C'est le même Dieu que nous adorons.
Sawasdi ลูกมาม่าแคล่าทุกคนที่เป็นโฟโคลาเล่มูฟเมนต์เป็นจิตลมเป็นแสงสว่างได้จากมาม่าแคล่าในขณะนี้โลกกำลังระบาดเนาะอาตมาเป็นลูกมาม่าแคล่าสายพุทธเนี่ยจะต้องบอกตรงๆว่าพวกเราจะต้องสร้างสติและปัญญาให้เกิดขึ้นกระแสเหล่าใดมีอยู่ในโลกสติเป็นธรรมนพเครื่องกั้นกระแสเหล่านั้นจะต้องปิดด้วยปัญญาและโรคโควิดก็จะไม่มาเบียดเบียนถ้าเราปฏิบัติตามกฎกติกาของสังคมได้ลูกมาม่าเคล่าต้องรู้จักกฎกติกาของสังคมด้วยขอเจริญพร
Mama Chiara, together with her Focolare companions, uplifted the Bawa people from ignorance, social and spiritual poverty and sickness through education, infrastructure and religious development. Mama Chiara, I and my traditional colleagues signed a solemn pact of mutual love on behalf of the Bawa people and the Focolare movement on 11 May 2000 during her last visit to Bawa land. The Pact of Reciprocal Love of May 2000 is today the bedrock of our ongoing new evangelization program. Nevertheless, since 2016 to this moment in time, our region is experiencing a political and civil strife with great loss of life and property. We thank you for your constant prayers for reconciliation and peace. We are convinced that the spirituality of unity that my Fondem Chiara Lubich and the Focolare movement brought to our area will help peace to return soon.
'On behalf of Venerable Master Xingyun, our 93 years old founder of Focolare Monastery, and Venerable Yongguang, our head abbess, we pray together to honor the beautiful heart of late Sister Chiara at her centenary memorial birthday this year of 2020. To our Focolare family, we are grateful that you have welcomed us. We join hands in hands and interfaith dialogues and visit each other. Focolare has treasured the opportunity to share our practice of 3 acts of goodness: do good things, speak good words, and think good thoughts during Gen Fest 2018 with youth around the world.
疫情的发生，还有呢，现在可以说还在进行当中了。那以我们也就是呢，宗教，那我们以我来讲，可以说代表佛教当中一个团体呢，我们相信这是我们全体人类的一种呢共业。那我们呢，也就是不幸往生的朋友们呢，我们诚恳的、衷心的祝福他们往生净土，或者到呢天国得到安息。那还有很多在治疗当中的朋友们能够早日得到呢救护、救助、恢复健康。那就是祈祷。以佛教来讲，就是呢要修行活动。我们创办人圣人书呢，说的就是呢心安，就有平安，所以我们能够呢把自己照顾好， 我们就间接的在照顾别人，因为我们自己本身健康了，我们不会受到感染，我们不会再把病毒传播出去。
Il coronavirus ci ha colpito tutti.
The coronavirus has affected all of us and is still taking thousands of lives.
Ogni vita porta in sé una storia.
Every life has a story and is just as priceless as Sher Khan's.
Sher Khan era musulmano.
Sher Khan was a Muslim who came to Italy from Afghanistan.
La sua scomparsa ha lasciato un'eredità importante.
His passing has left an important legacy and many friends. Now we meet two of them, Javed, a young Muslim from Pakistan, and Marta, who is Italian.
Welcome, Javed and Martha. We're so happy to have you with us. Sher Khan has been a friend, a brother to you. How did you get to know him?
When I came to Italy, before I was living with other Pakistani students. Later on, I transferred to Matteo, who was a member of this movement to the Focolare. So after that, in first May, he invited me to Lopiano, where Sher Khan was also invited. I found him like a brother.
I too met Sher Khan on the way to Lopiano. I travelled from Turin with that wonderful group. When we met again, he was very happy to see me, and looking at me, he said, "I'm going to a meeting of Muslims in Rome. Will you come too?" I was a bit surprised and said, "But Sher Khan, I am not Muslim." He looked at me in disbelief and said, "But neither is Enzo." Enzo is a Focolare with whom he had a very special relationship. That answer left me speechless, so I accepted the invitation. I was a little awkward because of the cultural differences and a little bit of prejudice. We started out practically as acquaintances, as strangers, but by the time we came back, I had already become sister, and it was Sher Khan who called me that first. Sister, because he had a strong sense of family. For him, his friends were his family. He was prepared to do anything for them. From that point on, the relationship continued, and it became stronger. It was easy and natural for us to invite our friends to our meetings, to the dinners. I can't say who was his closest friend, because each one was unique, precious, and special. He was able to find goodness in everyone, and it wasn't because he was naive, but because he had been through so much in life. Then, 2 years ago, when he had a serious illness, nothing changed. We couldn't believe that he still wanted to keep on sharing, to invite us, to be together with others and help people. We felt that his slow recovery seemed to have brought him out of suffering. But then, instead, the coronavirus arrived, and in a few days, it took him away from us. We certainly felt a great emptiness and a great sadness, but our gratitude and all that Sher Khan's life has given us is greater.
Thank you so much, Martha and Javed, for sharing this with us, since he strongly believed in brotherhood and unity among all of us. How do you think that his legacy will continue, and how can we live what he wanted?
When we hear this news that Sher Khan died in hospital, to be honest, for me it was very difficult time, like you're far from family, and then, but we saw another picture that was really very ideal picture, how a family react. There we saw Christian, Muslim, believer, non-believer. Together we celebrated his mourning. It was really a very important experiment for me. I believe that Sher Khan will be remembered as a building block of this united world.
I would say that with Sher Khan, we really experienced being a family with him and among us. After this experience, there can be no going back. I'm convinced that this is only the beginning.
Thank you very much, Javed and Martha. We are so happy that you shared this with us, and we stand together with you in this painful moment. Thank you.
Thanks, Aruj.
Thank you, Aruj.
Non possiamo tornare dietro, diceva Marta.
We can't go back, as Marta said about the friendship with Sher Khan.
Dobbiamo andare avanti in questo.
We must continue on this journey and build it day by day.
Come lui, possiamo creare.
Like him, we can create relationships of mutual love that go beyond our different religions and beliefs.
E questo ci porta al prossimo servizio.
And this brings us to our next story. It is the story of 3 Argentinian women. Roberto, can you tell us something more?
Yes.
Adesso conosceremo Silvina.
Now let's meet Silvina, Nancy, and Cecilia, 3 friends.
Una ebrea.
One is Jewish, one Muslim, and one Catholic.
Non è comune imbattersi in amicizie come.
It's unusual to come across friendships like this. Silvina is a rabbi from a Jewish community in Buenos Aires.
Nancy,
Nancy, a Muslim, runs a Center for Interreligious Dialogue, and Cecilia is a member of the Focolare.
È membro del movimento dei Focolari.
Let's meet them. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hola. Hola.
Hello.
Hola. ¿Podrían decirnos cómo?
Can you tell us how you met?
I con Ceci y con Nancy nos conocemos.
I met Ceci and Nancy because when you decide to set out on the path of dialogue, you meet amazing people like the two of them, and you decide to continue on the path of life together.
Tal cual como decía Silvina, nuestros caminos se cruzaron.
Just as Silvina said, our paths met through our work, teaching. Then we became good friends, and now, with Silvina and Cecilia, we have become the 3 musketeers.
So how did this relationship come about, which at this point goes beyond interreligious dialogue and has become a sisterly relationship, one of friendship and fellowship among you?
Once you have begun this kind of journey, you realize that you are incomplete without others. So, for example, when we learned that the Jewish feast of Pesach, the Jewish Passover, coincided with the Christian Easter, and then coincided 1 year, for example, with Laylat al-Isra and Laylat al-Miraj of the Muslim world. Of course, we all gathered for a meal together to celebrate these feasts, and not just the 3 of us on our own, but together with all our families and communities.
I agree 100% with what you're saying, Sylvie, 100%. It is not just a theoretical or theological dialogue where each person explains their faith to the others, but an understanding of brotherhood. In our Islamic community, we are also experiencing difficult moments in general. Many refugees have arrived in Argentina, and we feel very much supported by Silvina and Ceci's communities, not in an academic or theoretical interreligious encounter, but truly as a family and as friends. And it is not by chance that we are 3 women, because I believe that we also have a greater capacity to establish friendships and to commit ourselves much more to our communities. We are doing it as mothers, with all our hearts, and I think this too has created a good combination in our friendship.
I can say that I have learned that we can share not only external things, but spiritual ones too. We have 2 very beautiful experiences that we've been sharing together for several years now. One is called Shabbaton, in which we spend 2.5 or 3 days at the permanent Mariapolis, each celebrating the faith of the others. Because it is in our own prayers and experiences that we find the faith of the others. Another wonderful experience is called shared readings, in which on occasions we sit with Nancy to read our sacred texts, to understand and reflect on them with the sensitivity and understanding of the other. We ask questions or clarify things, entering into the scriptures, so that they are clear to us as people who want to embrace the whole of humanity.
We want to tell you this because ours is a country of immigrants, and interreligious dialogue is building a healthy citizenship and a strong democracy. These forms of dialogue, which everyone should engage in, must find their place. It also has to do with the education of children. Our children, the children of the three of us, Ceci's grandchildren, they're all imbued with this bond of fellowship in which the three of us already say, I no longer know how to live without the others.
There is a very clear concept in the Islamic tradition about destiny. Nothing happens by chance. I think that the meeting between the three of us has to do with the process that each of us has travelled in our own context, and that at a certain point had to open up in order to be together. Just as Sylvie says, and as you say, it's for posterity. It is for those who come after us, because this is the path of peace that has always been built, not alone, but with others.
Muchas gracias, Silvina, Nancy, Cecilia.
Thank you very much, Silvina, Nancy, and Cecilia, for having shared with us your relationship of friendship, sisterhood, and solidarity, which is certainly a very precious witness today.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. Un beso a todos.
Ciao, Emmaus.
Hello, Emmaus. Hello, Jesus. Welcome.
Ciao, bellissima.
Certo che sentire tutte queste esperienze di vera fraternità.
Hearing about these experiences of solidarity and fellowship gives us great hope in these difficult times.
Davvero.
Dear Emmaus, we live in a time of multiple crises: COVID-19, economic inequality, geopolitical conflict, environmental degradation, and racial discrimination. Now, we have just heard this series of experiences and stories that reveal to us the innovative approach of Chiara to interreligious dialogue. Is Chiara's method relevant today?
Io penso oggi più che mai. Oggi più che mai.
I think it's more relevant today than ever. Why is that? Because we see that this dialogue was a true prophecy of Chiara's, one that is now gradually being fulfilled as a concrete response to the needs of humanity.
Il carisma ha dato a Chiara lo sguardo di Dio.
The charism gave Chiara God's view of humanity and history. So Chiara met each person, seeing them and treating them as a child of God. Then each person, each and every one, when Chiara approached them in this way, met the loving gaze of the Father and discovered they could consider themselves as a son or daughter. They discovered the wonderful reality of seeing one another as brothers and sisters and of witnessing that it's possible to be one family. So what's the situation today? Today we're in a dramatic situation, as you said, a situation where there's confusion, fear, and the temptation to do nothing. So what remains for human beings who during the time of pandemic and total lockdown have been faced with not being able to decide what they want or what they can do, and therefore not being able to decide their own destiny? Only God remains, and God is the only reality that can give the answers we seek. What remains is the need to seek those answers in the light of God's love. That's why humanity is turning to God with hope today. We've seen a great revival in looking to what is transcendent. We saw it again in the collective response to the Day of Prayer on 14th May, where believers of all religions were invited. They all prayed together, they all shared in this desire, in this need for prayer, to ask, to call on God for the end to every kind of pandemic, not only the COVID pandemic, but all the pandemics that still exist in the world. We've seen how much this has given hope and comfort. It's given new faith in God's love. People have rediscovered the need for God and rediscovered that they can find Him and call Him Father. This was a powerful thing. Many people said that in this prayer they felt a union with God that they had never felt before, and they found hope and trust in this love.
Una bambina con la sua fede semplice ha detto, caro
A little girl with her pure and simple faith said, "Dear God, kill and defeat the virus. You can do it." She was sure this could happen. We've seen there is this new atmosphere in humanity today. What is it calling for? It's calling for the love of a father and asks that we recognize each other as brothers and sisters. It calls for fraternity. Now, I believe that never as much as in these times has the world been open to understanding Chiara's prophecy and putting it into practice. Of course, it's not easy. It wasn't easy before to have the courage to say these things, and it's not easy now. Now that we're bombarded through the media with messages of fear, anguish, closure, and caution. At the same time, we're bombarded with images that we never thought we'd see in the world today, of events, of terrible incidents. We're seeing them in our own day. In the midst of all this, it takes courage to say, we are all brothers and sisters. It takes courage to say, we have a father. So where do we get this courage from? Where did Chiara get it from? From the charism. We have the same charism as Chiara, a charism that is emerging in a powerful way in her centenary year that we're celebrating. We need to find the courage. Chiara continues urging us even today, saying, go to everyone. Everyone is a child of God. Go to everyone, love everyone, convince everyone that they're children of God. If they want to stay with us as children of God, together we can make a new world, a world in which God's love truly overflows onto humanity, in which there can be true relationships of fraternity, of mutual love, a different world. And I hope that from now on there will be a wave of love in the world.
Thank you, Emmaus. Thank you.
Thanks, Emmaus.
Grazie a voi.
Thank you for this encouragement, Emmaus.
Jesus, il 20 giugno prossimo i giovani lanceranno il nuovo pathway.
Jesus, on the 20th of June, the young people will launch the new pathway with the slogan Dare to Care. Can you tell us more about it so that it does not remain just as one of many slogans?
Ecco, in questo tempo di profonda crisi umanitaria, come ha detto.
In this time of deep humanitarian crisis, as Emmaus said, because of the coronavirus, we see that a new vision is emerging. The need for a new way of acting, of living, a sort of new ethical agenda, as some experts say.
E in questo contesto una categoria
And in this context, one category is taking the lead and becoming the central category, and it is precisely the category of care, responsibility, care for others, for society and for the planet.
La cura è una categoria molto ampia, bella.
Caring is a category that is very broad, beautiful and varied. The ethics of caring has to do with the dignity of the person. This is fundamental. It is the very heart of caring. It is not an introspective, private thing. On the contrary, care has a marked political vocation and a strong planetarian dimension, even if it does not forget the local, because it's at the local level that we take care of others. It's precisely in personal relationships, in society, in the locality. But this planetary dimension is important. Pope Francis spoke about it, as we know, on the 24th of May, when we commemorated the 5th anniversary of Laudato Si. Chiara Lubich, if you remember, defined politics as the love of loves.
E oggi c'è bisogno, l'ha detto molto bene Emmaus.
Today there is a need, as Emmaus said very well, for this type of love. And the category of care expresses it well. It is precisely a condensed form of this love that we are talking about. But you have to dare, to be bold. That's the main thing.
La proposta dei giovani del movimento di Focolari è questa.
So the idea of the youth of the Focolare movement is to put care at the center of politics and of our life as citizens.
Di quest'anno si vuole sviluppare.
During this year, we want to develop and deepen this idea around 5 main themes.
Ascolto, dialogo e comunicazione.
Listening, dialogue and communication, equality, fraternity and common good, participation and care for the planet.
E come farlo seguendo la
And how will we do it? By following the typical pathway methodology, learning, acting and sharing.
Come tu hai detto, il lancio ufficiale del Pathway
As you said, the official launch of the Pathway Dare to Care will be on the 20th of June at 2 p.m. Italian time, with a worldwide online event, which we hope will be the right moment to launch this great idea.
So, courage and daring. Thanks again, Emos. Thank you, Jesus. And thanks to all who have contributed and given their testimony of true fraternity and unity in this edition of the CH conference call. And we say goodbye to you all by inviting you to watch the trailer for the next Pathway, #DareToCare, which Jesus has just told us about. And we invite you to follow the channels of the United World Project to know how to connect and participate in its launch on June the 20th.
Andiamo avanti, sapendo che oggi
Let us keep going, knowing that today more than ever, we must be active instruments of peace and dialogue.
Yes, as Martin Luther King once said, the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. So as you said, Arush, we have to take action. Thank you to you both. Let's see the Dare to Care spot.
Care. From the youngest to the oldest, we've given care and we've received it.
COVID-19 has shown us just how much we've needed it.
How much care matters. How much it brings us together.
Now we have an opportunity to change things. An opportunity to put care at the center of that change.
At the center of our day-to-day interactions.
At the center of our communities.
At the center of our politics.
At the center of our global citizenship.
A world which cares more will be a world more united.
Join our campaign. Join our pathway.
Together, let's dare to care.